What is going on, YouTube family? It's Andrea here at VWFF Family Farm. It's a beautiful, beautiful warm day here in Arkansas. I've had a few people ask me for garden updates, and that's gonna right now involve greenhouse updates too. So come along with me. I'm gonna show you what all we've got growing. So I am going to give you a tour of the greenhouse. We've got tons of things sprouting. We're a little behind some people that I've seen, but we kind of planned it that way because we've gotten in a hurry in the past and gotten our things planted way too early, or another thing happens, they get way too big in the greenhouse and they get root bound, or they get like 2 or 3 foot tall, still in the little bitty cups or whatever. And then they just struggle all year. So we've tried to be patient this year and time it how we know it needs to go for our little area, hoping to have a good gardening year, because last year I canned basically nothing. We have plenty to eat because we are still eating off last year's canned goods, and to be honest, now I've taken stock, we could probably make it another year. I had just canned that much food. But I'm really itching to can, and I just love doing it. I love growing. And I don't want to put in all the work and not have a harvest. Who wants to do that? So we've held back. Some of our things are smaller than some other people's, you'll see. That's okay. Everybody does it differently. But I'm gonna show you, I've had some failures, I've had some successes already this year. I've already replanted some stuff. So I'm gonna take you around and just show you what we got. Sorry for the red face. I've been running again, and it's super hot in this greenhouse already. I can't believe it. Greenhouses just are amazing things, how they just hold in the heat. It can be freezing outside and warm and toasty in here. But let's get going. I want to show you what all we've got. Now listen, I've told y'all before, this is probably the windiest place on earth. So part of the outside stuff I'm going to show you, I may not be talking. It may have music overlaid because you wouldn't be able to hear me anyway. We'll see how that goes. Let's go. Okay, we've got all kinds of peppers. We are growing, we love Quadrado or Quadrado. Those are from Baker Creek. We're growing those. We're growing chili peppers. We're gonna try to make our own chili powder. Of course, we love like the bananas. We like lipstick peppers. That's what all of these are. Now let's shoot over here to some more peppers. Here's a little lesson. Ben planted these in potting soil. These are also peppers planted the same time as the ones you just saw, but the previous ones he planted in garden soil. Not the same thing, which we knew that, but they don't grow the same. You need to put your plants in some sort of potting soil at the beginning. So these are catching back, or the previous ones are catching back up to these, but these look amazing. These are chocolate bells. These are some really cool varieties we wanted to grow from Baker Creek. Emerald giants and things like that. There's just a assorted variety over here. I'll be telling y'all more about these as the year goes on and if they produce, because sometimes I really can't vouch for these yet because we haven't grown some of them. All right, let's talk tomatoes. I am mainly growing sauce tomatoes. I'm growing Amish paste, and I'm growing some San Marzanos. Those were recommended to me. I want to make tomato sauce because we love things like spaghetti. I put tomato sauce in like meatloaf. All kinds of things. I want to can a ton of sauce. So I'm growing sauce and paste tomatoes, and I'm also growing big slicers because I love to can. And when I'm canning, I'm doing a lot of jars of tomatoes. Chopped tomatoes, tomato juice, all kinds of things like that. So if I'm gonna be in the kitchen chopping tomatoes, I don't just personally, my personality, I'm a get her done type girl. So I don't like to stand there and chop tiny or even medium-sized tomatoes for hours on end. If you chop a huge tomato, that goes a long way in canning tomatoes. That's just my personal preference. So I'm growing a lot of large varieties and a lot of sauce varieties, paste varieties. The large ones I'm fixing to show you are things like brandy wines. I love those. My absolute all-time favorite is just the standard Cherokee Purple. I'm just a plain Jane type of girl, and when I find something I love, I don't venture a whole lot from that. So I love Cherokee Purples. We're growing some others this year, some Dexters and some different things like that I'll be showing you if they live up to par. But I'm gonna turn you around and show you how the tomatoes are doing. So here is our tomatoes. They are, like I said, they're still fairly small, but you can see they've got a really stout little stem on them, which we've not always had in the past. Ours we'd plant too early, and then they get way too tall and really skinny. And these, I think, may be the best tomatoes Ben's ever sprouted, and I really think it's due to patience. So we've got all of those. We've got a ton more tomatoes. I've got some smaller ones over here. So these are Dexters. We've got a raspberry tomato that we're gonna try from Baker Creek. Pretty much all our seeds came from Baker Creek. We've got some Abbey Rowan, some Oxheart, St. Pierre's, all kinds of varieties of tomatoes. All right, I also want to show y'all some stuff that Ben and I just started this weekend. You don't have to start things like squashes and cucumbers and watermelons and stuff in a greenhouse. A lot of times, I'm sorry y'all, it's hot in hell. A lot of times we start those just in the ground outside. But to give them a little boost and a really good start, or starting some inside, we've done it before. It works both ways. I think there's advantages to both. Sometimes when you start something where it's gonna grow, it does really amazingly well. And it has a little shock when you take something out of these little seed pods and put that in the ground. But on the other hand, sometimes we have trouble getting stuff to come up outside. So this is a way we can know that it's gonna come up before we start just banking on it outside. So I'm gonna turn you around and show you what varieties we're growing. So there's not a lot to look at. This is pretty bare. They're still sprouting, and they need a drink of water too. But we're growing sugar pie pumpkins. We've had luck with that for several years. Amish pie pumpkins, honeydew melon, cantaloupe, several different varieties of watermelons from Baker Creek that have done awesome for us. The Congo, the Mississippi Cobb Gem, and the Mountain Sweet Yellow. We love yellow-bellied watermelons. I love lemon squash from Baker Creek. That's been tried and true for me for a few years now. And then just some more basic straight neck, and we're growing a golden zucchini. Let's see what's over here. So over on this side is several different varieties of cucumbers, spaghetti squash, because we love spaghetti squash for a low-carb spaghetti. Let's see. Different types of just winter squashes and things like that. I just wanted to give you all a little glimpse of the greenhouse behind me. Ben does an amazing job of keeping this greenhouse going, keeping me lettuce sprouted. This is my main source of lettuce. It's bug-free, it's delicious. I barely have to wash it because it's so clean, and it's just beautiful and so tropical in here. So anyway, let me show you some other stuff we got sprouted. All right, so right behind me on this seed sprouting table, I've got all kinds of early stuff sprouted, which you may be thinking it's a little late for early stuff in mid-April, which it kind of is, but some of my stuff came up outside and some is iffy. So I thought there's certain things I really want, and I'm gonna give it another go. Whether it's too late or not, I'm giving it a try. It's sprouting beautifully. I'm gonna show you what all it is, and then in a few weeks, I'll show you how it's doing outside, if it really makes it by planting early stuff this late. Okay, so these are things I just really wanted to grow. There's a Swiss chard. There's some arugula. I'm trying to grow celery. It may be too late for celery. We'll have to wait and see. Mizuna. All of this right here is Mizuna. It's doing awesome. It's what Jared Baker Creek, the owner of Baker Creek, told me that's their favorite green for salads. So I'm gonna give that a go. There's pink Mizuna, and then the white and the summer variety. All these are radishes, all radishes. Rutabagas, kohlrabi, purple and white. We discovered those a few years ago from Baker Creek, and we love them. And then beets and bok choy. So those are just all early varieties. I'm just trying to sprout, and then I'm gonna quickly stick them in the ground outside where it's cooler. All right, this is probably gonna be loud because it's super windy out here. I don't have what I call my original garden, my back garden in our backyard planted yet. because that's gonna be like tomatoes, peppers, all kinds of like summer varieties of stuff. And I don't even have the whole front garden planted yet. That's where I'll plant just rows and rows of beans, brown beans, black beans, all kinds of stuff like that. So I don't have any of that planted. It's a tad early here. I could, but guys, if you plant tomatoes too early outside and you're not in danger of frost, but it's still getting cold in your area, you're still risking stressing out your tomatoes, because tomatoes do not like to be cold. So you can, but I don't think it's advisable to try to get them in as early as possible. They're gonna do just as well if you wait a little bit. In fact, you plant some early that you stress out by getting cold, and plant some a little bit later when it's optimum conditions, they're gonna catch right up to the others. So don't feel stressed if that's you. Sometimes I get in a hurry, but just make sure that the cold weather is past your area. But let's go look and see what's in this garden. How well y'all can hear me, but I've got this entire row behind me planted in onions Ben sprouted from Baker Creek, which I've told you before, they have some amazing videos out on how to grow onions from seed, because that's not an easy thing to do. It's kind of like growing carrots from seed. It's not just throw down some seed and they'll grow. There's a certain way to do it. Check them out. They're very awesome, very much a wealth of information. So I've got that whole row of onions. I've got onions in a raised bed. I've got herb beds going in other parts of the yard. I'm gonna take you over here and show you my potatoes. All right, also right behind me, I've got 2 long rows of Yukon Gold potatoes. That's my favorite kind. I hope y'all can hear me, but they're slowly coming up. The ones we planted from our sprouted potatoes came right up, but the ones that I went and bought a 50-pound sack, and they've taken a little bit longer, but I actually dug up a couple a week or so ago and thought, I'm giving up on these things. And they're sprouting under there. So if your potatoes aren't coming up, dig them up and see if a few of them, because ours weren't very sprouted when we bought the seed potatoes at the feed store. So they had a long way to go to sprout and put that up above ground. So check that out. Dig up a couple before you just call it quits and till it up, which is what I was about to do. But anyway, that's just a quick update of what we got going on. I know y'all probably can't hear me for this wind, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Thanks for hanging out with me. As things get growing, I'll be showing you all the gardens. We've got a whole nother garden that I don't have anything planted in that yet either. That's gonna be for viney things only, spaghetti squashes, acorn squash, things like that that vine out and take up a lot of room. So I've got an area for them. I'm gonna be planting sweet potatoes, like I said, all kinds of beans, all the things we've got sprouted, tons of okra, because I plan to pickle a lot of okra this year. We've got major garden plans, and I plan to do hopefully like a weekly garden update, because things change so fast in the garden. So I want to keep y'all involved. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.